What is up, coin traders? Thanks for joining me for the show. Looking at Algorand ALGO on that ticker. Thanks for being patient while I got a video out. Was on travel for a few days, so we are back now and the show will resume. Obviously, it was extremely fun seeing a couple days ago this huge, massive candle. We actually saw Algorand get up over 36% on the day. So from the start to the close, well, not the close, but the peak high actually came in over 37% gain. We saw Algo get up to a high of 26.50. Obviously closing in that instance at 21.15. And now currently we're right around the 20-cent psychological mark. And on this daily chart right now, looking at a few good things. Specifically, you guessed it, we are looking at support of the EMAs, the exponential moving averages, especially since we are holding a big level of closing support. So if we do look left, big level of closing resistance on this day, now flipping it into support and confirmed, as well as holding support on top of this big, nice 12-period EMA, which we actually did see a very nice bullish close above it, especially after we look at these candles right here. Very big rejection from it, but the good thing about the candles here coming off of the bounce once we actually found our low. So we were defending support here for about the 1676 level. And so we were finding that on the close. As you can see, all these lower shadows defended for about a week here. And then finally, we saw this nice hammer candle blow past this very big closing level of resistance right at 18 cents. Very nice bullish upside candle. Not necessarily the most amount of volume down here like we would expect to find breaking out of a very nice upside move. But obviously getting rejected from the 12-period EMA is one of those things we do expect, because when we do have prices actually slipping below and confirming a big base level of support, we know that a rally and an upside move to test at least the 12-period EMA is likely. Typically, we do see, especially on these type of oversold bounces, a test of the 24-period EMA as well. So coming in, seeing this very nice candle, and the thing about it is that the following candle, we always talk about follow through, very small body, which actually took up probably only about a quarter of the body of the previous bullish day. So very good sign as well. And then the follow on after that with actually a little bit more bullish volume showing that follow through, especially after minimal selling pressure on the previous bearish day, was a very good sign as well. Following that, very nice bearish defense, or bear candle with bullish defense rather, of this 12-period EMA, small bearish volume as well. And then in addition, we're also looking at the size of the body of this bearish candle, also about a quarter of the body of the bullish candle that came in as well. Following that, huge, massive, nice bull day. And we knew that we probably weren't going to see all of this hold and sustain, since despite it being Algorand, we know that 37% upside at all, especially in this short of a time, is not really sustainable. And typically, we always expect these type of upside wicks and sell-offs. But the great thing about it is that we still maintain 26-period EMA support, despite losing it the following day, still maintaining closing support on top of the 12-period EMA as well. And then as you can see, it did take, especially on the pullback, multiple days to not even get the full amount of what we closed and what we saw on this nice big bullish day. So still pretty good sign on the short term, holding these nice trends, higher highs, higher lows coming in. And so right now we are scouting this as being a higher low coming in for Algorand, which does have a low of 1893. So 1893 is going to be that point that we hope to actually hold, since right now we are looking at a trend to the upside. So we had our low come in for Algorand, which was at 1484. From there, put in our high on this move at 1883. Pulled back to the low from there once again at 1594. Rallying up right now to the current high of this trend, and then obviously pulling back. So it is going to take a lot to actually put in a new high, but what we're really looking for right now is not necessarily the price levels. We're looking for the bodies and the closes, because that's what really shows the most amount of signs of strength, because obviously we could see one order and a very nice long period put in a price high. Obviously, this was a little bit more sustained because, as you can see with the volume, but the point I'm trying to make is that price levels aren't necessarily a true sign of strength as much as a strong body is, because the test of time is what actually confirms that strength, along with the support, a strong order book, things like that. So now the great thing about this too is that we actually see more bearish volume coming in on this pullback. So pushed up to the 50-period EMA, rejected from that, and then obviously very nice defense of the 12-period EMA. So on this, increasing bearish volume, but yet as you can see, we actually didn't have bodies of these bearish candles increase as well. So the strength and the magnitude of this pullback, not necessarily that strong. So right now, especially with a little bit of upside, hopefully we can get this 12 period to provide a little bit more of that support and a little bit more of that bullish momentum upside with some increasing bullish volume down here on the daily time frame volume chart. Now, if we do want to look left here and actually talk about this Algorand chart, and specifically, I do want to turn off the 12 as well as the 50 period EMA just so you can see the 26 here as that relevant point. So looking left, big period of resistance here, period of support. We also had a period of support and then flipped from it being resistance as well, and then support on the way back from the trend high. So dip below the 26, resistance, broke above it, support, broke back, bearish above it, resistance now. And then obviously on this test, barely broke above it, but lost it pretty quick. So that's why this 26 period EMA right now is going to be so strong and a very critical level to get back above, since right now on this downtrend, since coming in from the trend high, we have been seeing it as a very relevant level for this daily time frame. So 26 period EMA right now at 20.55 cents. So that is the period that we actually need to see bulls break and close above. Like we said, plenty of downside supports coming in right now, and specifically we are looking at a closing level of support coming in just shy of the 20-cent psychological mark at 19.73. So because we actually experienced this and confirmed it as resistance, flipped it into support, and have been holding it for the last 4 daily candles, we are going to assume and especially hope, given the fact that if we do see increasing bullish volume, we would love to see and likely will see a close for this daily time frame for Algorand on top of this 26 period exponential moving average. Now, flipping into the 2-day chart, we all love the 2-day chart here, specifically looking at a big resistance zone for these daily candles on the 2-day chart. So despite having a lot of upside, big bullish volume, and especially after defending closing support just shy of that 17-cent level, we know that we are still getting a lot of resistance here up overhead. So still maintaining a bearish short-term downtrend, especially given the pattern where we actually put in our high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and then obviously now breaking to a new higher high compared to this previous high of 24.81 cents. So if you were following me over on Twitter at coin_trades is the handle over there. Make sure you do drop a follow. We did talk about how the likely scenario and what we wanted to see right now was actually scouting higher lows on this bounce. If we could see that, then likely the bulls do have a chance, but otherwise, if we do confirm and maintain rejection from these EMAs, then likely I would experience a little bit more downside pressure. But given the oversold nature and especially the magnitude of the pullback so far, maintaining some closing supports, we are expecting a rally pulling back and setting a higher low before attempting to change this trend and put in a new short-term higher high. So really what we need to see, like we talked about, a close and break of 26 period EMA on the daily. And then following from there, we actually do need to see a run up and a break above the 26 and 50, especially since these are so close and so tight, they will be a very big point of that resistance level. So looking left, you can see support point here, and then also support point before putting in resistance points before flipping it from support as well. So 50 period EMA on this 2-day chart is going to be extremely relevant to the upside level as well. If we do want to draw a price level actually for that, it would end up being right around the 21-cent level. Looking left, that would be a big period of support and resistance prior to setting the current trend high right now before this massive pullback. So on the shorter term in the coming days and weeks, that's exactly what we need to see is a big range and a lot of bullish support from about the 20-cent psychological level up to about the 21 to 21.50 level as well. If we do actually get on top of that, we're really going to be looking up to about the 24-cent level, where we did have a big period of resistance, and then obviously big resistance rejection from the nice bullish day that we had here a couple of days ago for Algorand, but obviously big level of support, and then huge level of resistance as well before putting in the trend high. So the reason this is kind of significant, and especially if we talk about the lows here for this pullback, we actually didn't technically break structure, although we did see a maintaining of the closes as a higher high compared to what we saw previously. But we actually saw an exact same bounce off a price line right at 14.84 for this move, and then 14.84 for the pullback that happened on the 12th of April. So like we said, the reason this is significant is because we had a rejection, put in our price level support, ran up to set our trend high, pulled back to that exact level, and then if we actually can't get above 24 cents, that would actually set us in line to retest 1484 and potentially put in a longer term head and shoulders pattern, which would be a little bit more bearish and probably would see this neckline actually break, where we would see the next test of lower lows. Now, personally, I don't think that's necessarily the likely setup we'll see right now. I do think it will take some time to actually normalize and confirm support along this level, so it will actually draw out the period of time we would actually expect to normally see for your typical stereotypical head and shoulders pattern in this instance for Algorand. So I'm not necessarily thinking we do see something like that. So even if we do, for example, rally up to 24 cents, we would likely put in a higher low, I would expect. Consolidate a little bit more on that level, probably around the 21 to 22 cent level, which would kind of be the neckline of overall this consolidation pattern before we actually did put in the current trend high when we did see prices get up to almost 33 cents here. So because the rest of the crypto space has pulled back a ton, and a lot of cryptos and altcoins have seen pullbacks and retracements up to about 50 to 60%, I do think that a lot of the selling pressure has stopped, and probably we're just going to experience a little bit more sideways chop before actually getting a confirmation direction of a bearish retracement and some continued downside, or even potentially a little bit more upside and an uptrend resuming. Now, one of the other reasons I think that's kind of a likely pattern right now is just given the magnitude of this sell-off and how long it's actually taken to kind of recover some of that. So if we actually want to count the number of candles so far, we're looking at 8 bars so far, so effectively 16 days, so over 2 weeks, just to knock out not even half, well, barely half of the body of this sell-off candle, which happened in 2 days. So because it's been taking so much, especially with seeing this big bullish bar, we actually know that it's been a very, very big short just to get prices back up to the 20 to 21 cent level. So because of that, even if we do see some downside pressure, we'd still likely expect to put in a higher low and then probably continue to consolidate on that instance just because the sell-off has been so strong so far. Now, typically on a downside pullback move, we do expect consolidation pullbacks, which likely in that instance do end up retracing a little bit more on the bearish side. But if we can actually see a break and close above some of the shorter term exponential moving averages, then that does give a lot more bullish scenario setups to retracing, putting in a higher low, and then putting in a new higher high. If in fact we do see a little bit more upside momentum, we could expect a bullish break from a consolidation point. Again, these type of setups, they're never supposed to be predictive, but rather we're always supposed to be understanding what's possible so we can be reactive. And I think that's a huge misconception that a lot of people think, is that just by looking at a chart means that we can predict the future of what happens. But in all honesty, it's really just becoming reactive to what potential setups and scenarios could be, and understanding them so you can make the best decisions possible after knowing not only possibilities, but potential likely scenarios as well, given setups and what you typically expect to find for different types of conditions. Now, flipping over into the weekly really quick for Algorand here before we wrap up. And like we talked about, unfortunately did break the structure of holding EMA support on this weekly chart. And now, as you can see from the current weekly candle, which closes tomorrow, big upper wick, and obviously still seeing resistance for the close come in on this chart. But we know that we're also so far maintaining closing support on top of this 26 period EMA, which kind of is in this weird limbo stage right now where we have 26.50 right in the middle, and then the 12 period EMA for the weekly on top still. So 50 and 12 are providing resistance so far, support on the 26 period EMA on this weekly. Volume's pretty decent, not necessarily that bad. It's not necessarily as much as what we saw previously to put in the trend high, but it has been more than what we've seen on previous bullish weeks here over the last couple of months. Overall, still got a pretty decent, nice supportive trend line here going from this Algorand weekly chart. And specifically what we're looking at here is the ability to maintain a trend based on a trend line. So despite the fact that we actually lost EMA support, which is extremely unfortunate, we're still here now seeing weekly support come in on this very relevant trend line where we actually saw resistance being set, flipped into support, confirmed it as support as well over 3 weeks, and then now confirming it as support over 2 weeks as well. So until this invalidates and breaks, we're still thinking that based on the trend line, we are looking at an overall slope to the upside, especially because we have held price levels from putting in a new lower low. So again, I don't think necessarily we're going to see a ton of bullish action just given how the current couple of weeks has gone after the big sell-off here. And although this isn't necessarily the most bullish and favorable setup for Algorand, which we have definitely grown accustomed to so far, we know that we're not necessarily expecting a ton of price action, especially unless we confirm Algorand to actually see a ton of sell-off and actually break and confirm a close below this trend line. So really shorter term on the daily time frame is what we're going to be looking for, and especially like we said, if we can see some upsides towards those closes, really strong resistance point for Algorand is going to be coming in here, though, just below the 23 cent mark, kind of right around 22.85, all the way up to potentially 23 cent as well. So tons of resistance points coming overhead. Obviously, the exponential moving averages are first, but because we have actually found 12-period EMA support, we know that we're likely going to see a little bit more heavily favoritism and holding that to allow it to provide the bulls a little bit more upside push to see hopefully a break of the 26 and 50 as well before finally running up towards that almost 23 cent price level, coming in right around 22.88. And so, yeah, with that actually is going to go ahead and close out the show for today on Algorand ALGO on the ticker. Do hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe button if you have not done so just yet, as well as drop me a follow over on Twitter at @coin_trades. Do tweet a lot about algo and very active in discussions on Algorand as well. But if you do have any questions, comments, issues, disagreements, all that stuff, please drop me a note down in the comments sections below. Always love getting back to each and every one of you. That is going to wrap it up for now, though, so do appreciate all the continuous love and support. And with that, stay safe, take care, and I'll catch you back in the next video.